Hey y'all, it's the Slav. Time for a little Saturday morning wargaming ramble. And we're going to take a look at the components of two games that landed on my porch yesterday in one very heavy box. The second edition of Littoral Commander Indo-Pacific, as well as the first expansion for the Littoral Commander series, Littoral Commander Australia, which of course links with Indo-Pacific. So we'll start off. It's not going to be a complete unboxing because I really unboxed it last night, did my usual compulsive examination of all the components and all the cards, make sure everything was there, and it is. So, start off with the box cover. Pretty much the same box cover as the first edition, although you will see the Arleigh Burke class DDG has its unfortunate backwards transposed hull number removed off the bow. They've gone to conditions of unrestricted naval warfare on the high seas and just had the hull number removed completely. So we'll move on now from the box to the rulebook. And you'll see that the rulebook has indeed taken on the same format as what was released within the Littoral Commander Baltic. It's a perfect bound rulebook. It is much larger, but it still keeps the single column print, lots of illustrations, lots of examples. So it isn't quite as complicated as it looks. The basic principles are pretty simple. There is a quick start guide here on the first few pages. Tells you the general overview of the play, lots of basic stuff. And there are also lots of videos online. I have put together a playlist of YouTube videos I found from various content creators about the Littoral Commander system. A couple of interviews with Sebastian Bay, as well as some tutorial videos and scenario playthroughs. So, if you're lazy like me and would rather have somebody else teach you this system, the materials are out there to help you figure it out. We go on to the scenario book, and not a whole lot did. It's a little glitzier than the original scenario book. We have, let's see, I think 13 scenarios in here. Looks like there's probably been some added. And pretty much, boilerplate here. The scenario book is much less fancy than the rule book is, but it is serviceable. The play aid has been upgraded just like it was in Baltic. It is now a trifold player aid, full color, gives you the turn flow examples, unit symbology on the counters, sequence of play. The entire back of the play aid is JCC card, sort of explanations, walking you through the various interactions that can occur with those. So this is a very useful player aid. You'll definitely want to keep this at your side as you play the game. We also have the submarine operations tracker. I have not gotten into subs myself with this at all. But this is how you keep track of the subs. Obviously, they're going to be hidden movement when they are on the board until they're revealed through combat. So this is something that I would imagine you would want to actually photocopy. You've got 10 copies of it here yourself, but since this is something you're going to write on, you might either want to laminate these, put these in sheet protectors and use dry erase. Probably the best thing to do, unless you've got access to a printer or photocopier, and then you could just print these off as required. Next, we'll take a look at the counter sheets. Nothing really different in these. There are some units that have been added, obviously. What I did forget to mention with the rulebook is this does add the space and embarkation value mechanics that were featured in Littoral Commander Baltic. So that means we do bring gators into this game. The U.S. Navy has 2 LSDs, landing ship docks, 1 LHD, which is a larger amphibious assault ship, and an LHA, which is a smaller amphibious assault ship. Although, as you can see there, unit values are all the same, but they would have different space values. One of them, and I'm embarrassed to tell you, I don't remember which one, does not have a well deck. One of them is strictly just basically a helicopter platform as far as the amphibious assault goes. So here we have the U.S. units counter sheet, and then here we have the PRC counter sheet. And you see down here, the PRC gets a couple of amphibs added to their counter mix as well. So not a whole lot different than the previous edition. I do not know whether, I haven't looked closely enough to see whether there were any actual unit types added to, well, I mean, obviously the amphibs were added, or if there were any other ground unit types added in this second edition. And we'll take a look at the unit trackers. Nothing has really changed format in them, except for the space value and embarkation value. So this Marine Infantry platoon, 1st Platoon of Alpha Company, you see that triangle in the upper right corner with the space value of 1. That's how much space it will take up when it's embarked. So then if we go through the card deck here and we get to the amphibs, we see here that it has an embarkation value of, okay, I don't want to talk out of turn here, but I believe that's an embarkation value of 25. Or no, that would be a space value. The embarkation value is 6. So it can hold 6 points worth of units on board. The event cards, largely unchanged from the previous edition. These really, there's not a whole lot in the rule book on these. These can just sort of be added by scenarios thrown into it to spice things up a little bit. And then we can go to the JCCs, basically sort of the heart of the game. This is where all the interesting card play and team dynamics take place. Again, generally not a whole lot different. It seems there may be about 15 of these added per side, just by a rough count, comparing it real quickly to the count that we had in the first edition. And again, you'll see these have the space values in the upper right corner if the card can be embarked, and we'll tell you how much space it takes up on the amphibs. And then finally, let's get to the really neat stuff, the most noticeable change for this edition, and that is the map sheets. The map sheets in this game have now been upgraded to the same graphic representations you had in Baltic. So we're dealing with some enhanced color graphics here, and we have a different representation of terrain now in this edition. So this is probably not going to cooperate very well with me here. This is very thick stock for these maps, so I highly recommend, although I do see in the a lot of those YouTube videos, people are just playing with these things unfolded and putting counters directly on them. You probably really would benefit from a decently hefty sized piece of plexiglass on top of these to flatten out these creases and make it much easier to move the counters around. But here's the Taiwan Strait map sheet. You can see we now have the newer representation of terrain, more satellite photo appearance to it, with the hex grid outlines of the color there to show you what the movement point values are of the different types of terrain. So that is the Taiwan Strait map. We have the Strait of Malacca with Singapore. And there's Singapore up here, pretty much right in the middle of the map. You've got lots of impassable terrain here in Indonesia. And then we've got the Ryukyu Strait for the Okinawa scenario. There's Okinawa there. And the final one is the Luzon Strait for the action in the Philippines. And again, here in the Philippines, we can see lots of that impassable mountainous terrain in the center here and along the coast of the Philippine Sea. So that is the quick down and dirty look at the second edition of Littoral Commander Indo-Pacific. Stay tuned. I'm going to take a crack open at that Littoral Commander Australia box too. And now be aware that is just an expansion. That is an expansion that adds Australia, so you would be playing that in conjunction with Littoral Commander Indo-Pacific. Some of the Littoral Commander Indo-Pacific scenarios can be modified to throw the Australians in, so I'm not going to get too much more in that now. That'll be coming here very shortly. So thanks y'all for hanging with me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.